It's a question that has driven the Indiana football program. Is it going to make us better? That's the query Curt Signetti poses before anyone does anything inside the IU football program. And who are we to question that question? Sig has simply led the Hoosiers to the highest win percentage in the country over the past 2 years, claiming Big Ten and CFP championships, multiple Coach of the Year honors, and of course, producing a Heisman Trophy winner along the way. Welcome in Zach Osterman, who covers the Hoosiers as well as anyone out there. Zach, it's not as if being ranked in the preseason at number 6 is a slap in the face to any team, but Indiana is behind Ohio State and Oregon, 2 teams it beat last year on its way to the CFP national title. Is there the card that Curt Signetti can play here, that they're actually being disrespected at number 6?
I think he probably will play it, whether it's a card or not. As you said, I mean, being ranked number 6 in the country in the preseason is hardly overly disrespectful. But I certainly think if Curt Signetti is maybe looking for any fuel to kind of push back on any sense of complacency after what Indiana accomplished last season, being picked 3rd in the Big Ten and preseason 6th in the country, probably gives him some of that. Because listen, this is a group that still returns a lot from a season ago. I know that a lot of the big names are gone: Mendoza, Pons, Coogan, Fisher, Surratt, etc. But you look on both sides of the ball, there is a healthy amount of institutional knowledge of how to win a national championship still on this roster. I'm sure we'll talk about some of those players, but I think if you're Curt Signetti, you know, what's the phrase he used at Media Day? Stalking complacency. That's one of his favorites. If you're doing that day in, day out, any kind of disrespect, any sense of maybe your team being undervalued is something I think you're going to want to use with this group just to make sure that they stay sharp and that they stay hungry after all they accomplished in 2025.
And that's why I don't like the term hunter versus hunted or vice versa. And I know Signetti doesn't either. He says we hunt and we stalk complacency regardless of what other people think of us. And we will get to some of those returning players, Zach, in a second. But I want to start with a few new faces. Of course, Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, now off to the NFL. Josh Hoover comes in. According to everyone who knows both Mike Shanahan's philosophy and Hoover's skill set, it's the perfect fit for this offense. How do you see this playing out at the quarterback position?
It's fascinating to think about Hoover because, on the one hand, they seem like such big shoes to fill, right? The first Heisman Trophy winner in Indiana history, Fernando Mendoza, everything he accomplished last season. On the other hand, you know, we've talked about all these transfer quarterbacks that Curt Signetti and Mike Shanahan have worked with between their time at James Madison and obviously their first 2 years at Indiana. Hoover is really more proven than anyone else from a Power 4 perspective. All the snaps that he had at TCU, back-to-back 8-win seasons. Yes, there were maybe some concerns about turnovers at times that he's got to work on, that he's got to clean up at Indiana. But he's really more proven at this level walking in the door than either Fernando Mendoza or Curtis Rourke because of the success that he had in Fort Worth. I think the question for Indiana, as much as anything else, is just that turnover issue. You're going to have a defense that I think is going to be very, very good again this year. He's got an offensive line in front of him that's probably as good as any he's played with. If Josh Hoover doesn't put the ball on the ground or throw interceptions, you know, kind of at the rate that maybe he did at times at TCU, then I think this is just going to be another year where that offense, it's got to get tailored around the quarterback. That's the strength that Mike Shanahan and Curt Signetti have shown with countless transfer quarterbacks, being able to really sort of bring the system around to meet the quarterback's skills and what specifically they do well. If Josh Hoover can really kind of improve ball security, I think this is going to be another very good year for Indiana's offense.
Need to have guys to throw to. Charlie Becker emerged last year as a go-to guy, and then Nick Marsh comes over in the portal, one of the most sought-after wide receivers. What does that room look like when we get to opening day?
I mean, obviously, the best receiver in the conference is probably in Columbus, but I suspect the best receiver room in the conference may be in Bloomington. And that's respect to, you know, I've said this numerous times for the offseason. I'm not sure we did justice to sort of Charlie Becker's story last year because there were so many remarkable stories unfolding sort of around, you know, all over Indiana's roster. But for him to go from, I think, something in the range of 35 to 40 offensive snaps in Indiana's first 7 games to essentially an indispensable piece in the postseason, the Big Ten championship game, and then obviously the playoff, was a remarkable sort of rise for a player that the staff really liked. But he didn't get his opportunity until Elijah Surratt got hurt. When he gets his opportunity, he becomes, frankly, I think a receiver that if he mirrors that performance again this year is going to be high up in NFL draft conversations next winter and spring. And then opposite him, you mentioned Nick Marsh. Indiana, frankly, has had trouble covering Nick Marsh for the last 2 seasons. He's got something in the range of about 145 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2 games against IU. And I think, Kurt Signetti probably didn't need to watch a lot of scouting film on Marsh to know that he wanted to make him a priority in the portal, because Marsh has just been so good, even obviously under maybe more difficult circumstances at Michigan State. He is, for my money, one of the best boundary receivers in the conference. He's proven it at a Big Ten level, and now you're putting him in an offense that has really shown its ability to showcase receivers that play on the outside, whether it's Charlie Becker, Elijah Surratt, Omar Cooper 2 years ago, obviously moved to the slot last season. There's obviously going to need to be some depth developed around them. Tyler Morris, the Michigan transfer, is back from the knee injury that held him out last year. The staff really likes Davion Chandler. LeBron Bond was another young player that didn't hold his red shirt last year. The staff just wanted to keep him on the field. But you start with those 2 at the top, and I think you have a really difficult 1-2 punch to cover if you're an opposing defense.
I love it. Today's day and age of college football when it comes to Nick Marsh. If you can't cover him, pay him and sign him, and then you don't have to worry about it. Last question offensively, Zach. About a minute here on the running backs. Kalon Black, Roman Hemby, no longer part of this roster. So who carries the water?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Turbo Richard, the Boston College transfer. Kobe Martin is Indiana's leading returning rusher, a player that I think fans really came to enjoy watching. They saw a lot of him last year in mop-up duty and garbage time in some of those blowout wins, but he had some really encouraging performances, even as deep into the season as the Peach Bowl against Oregon, some moments when he really flashed a level of explosiveness. Even, he was a redshirt freshman last year, now a redshirt sophomore from Fishers, one of the holdovers on this roster from Tom Allen's last recruiting class. And then Lee Beebe Jr. will kind of make up the numbers, at least initially there. He was another player that, again, showed some flashes early last season and then suffered an injury of his own. He's kind of clean and healthy now. He's ready to go for the season that's everybody's gearing up for now. So that's your 3. That's Richard, Martin, Beebe. In the last 2 years, it's kind of winnowed down to 2 by the time you get to Big Ten play. If you made me pick between those 3 right now, I guess I'd probably lean toward Martin and Richard, but I think it's going to be fascinating to see how the carries get distributed between those 3, because I think you got 3 running backs that have all proven they can be effective at a power 4 level.
Let's get one final thought on the defense. Yes, you lose stars at all 3 levels, but you look especially up front. Tyreek Tucker is back. Stephen Daly is back. Landino is back. You have guys up front who are absolute game wreckers. How much will that front 4 be the strength of what this Bryant Haynes defense looks like?
I mean, I think it may be the strongest position group on the roster, period. That defensive front, especially with Stephen Daly back, and Kellen Wyatt has announced he's back. I don't know if we're going to see Wyatt at end, if we're going to see him at linebacker, which is where he played at Maryland, because they do need some depth at linebacker. They've got a really good top of the depth chart there that could use some experienced depth behind it. But that defensive front goes 2 deep basically everywhere. There are guys that can play inside and outside. You're going to be able to play small if you need to rush the passer. You're going to be able to play heavy if you need to play in short yardage and against the run. It is a versatile group. It is an experienced group. You don't have to rush Daly back. Obviously, they just got him back on campus. He's been training, Kurt Signetti said, for next year's NFL draft. So you're going to want to ramp him up slowly and not sort of force him into anything that might get him hurt because you rushed him onto the field too quickly. But you really don't need to, because you go 2 deep at literally every position along your front 4. Again, if we're talking about where it stacks up in the conference, I think that may be the best defensive line in the conference. And if you've got that kind of defensive line, we talk about the strength at linebacker, we talk about what they've got back and what they added in the portal in the secondary. If you're as good at the line of scrimmage as I think Indiana is going to be defensively, there are not a lot of teams that are going to be able to move and score the ball consistently against you. And that's, as much as anything, if you're looking for reasons to kind of buy Indiana as a playoff contender again in 2026, I would start with that defensive line. I think it has the capacity to be dominant.
Well, Zach Alsterman is selling, and I am buying. Zach, as always, we appreciate the time. Enjoy what's left of the offseason. Opening day will be here before we know it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, as always.